Welcome back. I'm Justin.
I'm James.
And this is the Hope Shot. What if I told you you're one right decision away from changing your whole life in addiction? But what if I told you that you're one bad decision away from changing your whole life in recovery? This is episode 3 of Addiction to Success, and today we're going to share one of my best friends, James's story, and he's going to tell you exactly what it was like for him. And go ahead, James.
Well, thank you. I'm James, and I'm just grateful to be here. It's an honor to be here and spread the hope, right? Like that's Definitely. What we're doing here, and I hope that somebody hears a message of hope and knows that they can change too. And if I can do it, you guys can. So let's get rolling. So I'm James, and I was born in Peoria, Illinois, but there's a lot of violence and gang stuff up there. So my dad moved us down here to Florida, where we had some family, and we moved here about when I was 3 or 4 years old, and everything was fine, man. I remember my mom and dad being together, and we started moving into different spots. My dad did different stuff growing up, and it wasn't until my older ages where he started becoming a business owner, but he had to do small jobs, to get us by,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, him being with my mom for a while, and then it just not working out, and being with my stepmom today, which I consider my mom. That's another blessing in my life. I didn't realize then that God loved me enough to give me 2 moms, So that was a hard struggle for me growing up, learning to adapt to that. As a kid, we don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but
it's like your stepmom's taking over the mommy space, and it's just.
And we talk about unconditional love, right? And you want to know what unconditional love is? Look at step parents, right?
That's true.
Like
that's a whole different role.
Yeah, like, you love without having to. It wasn't even yours. You get to. It's a choice, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm blessed in that aspect. But there was a part of my life where I just didn't know any better. We are what we grow up in, and my dad was a hustler, we should say, and so drugs was influenced in my life at a very young age. I can remember my dad selling drugs, and I can remember going by the couch, and there was just piles of money up on the table and trays full of weed, and I didn't know any better. It was always a party scene.
It's the norm.
House. The norm.
Yeah.
It was always that party scene, and I can remember it just was normal. And then one day my dad got busted, and I remember them kicking in the doors on my way to baseball as a kid. And thank God my grandpa picked me up at the time, so I didn't really have to see the whole kabang, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was always the hustle mentality growing up, the illegal empire type deal, because later on in my story, my dad was a bookmaker, and I really wind up idolizing that.
What's a bookmaker is
gambling, stuff like that, taking numbers for bets, those things, and
kind of like the stuff that's going on the internet nowadays.
Right.
Just no internet.
Right. Before they found a way to make it really legal. So that was going on in our lives, man, and my mom wound up passing away when I was young.
How old were you?
I was 11. So when she passed, I really idolized my dad. Everything was about him. I have his name. Yeah. And the same name as my grandpa. So as a young kid, I was influenced by some really bad behaviors. I idolized my grandfather. Never even met the guy. I literally read one article about him in a newspaper that said, ex-Peoria hoodlum found dead on the side of the road with his hookers. And I idolized that as a kid. And then with my dad being into that type of lifestyle, it's all I wanted, and then with my mom dying, I really turned to anger and just wanted to show that I was a tough kid, for my dad, and wanted him to accept me and
live up to the standards of their grandpa, their dad, and then you. Mm-hmm. So you kind of want to embellish the lifestyle.
Yeah, so it was really always like a fantasy almost.
Yeah.
Our minds can take us to this fantasy world, and that's what it did growing up as a kid. So I had to try to be this tough guy, just anything to get my dad's attention, you know. And but after my mom died, he did his best he could to shelter me, right? So I told you about him getting busted, and then everything was really hidden after the booking thing, and like my mom dying. And I remember, you know, me and you, we go back a long way, right?
23 years.
Right. And I can remember being 15, and finding out that my dad was partying with all my friends, you know. And dude, you want to talk about opening Pandora's box?
Oh yeah.
Exploded James on the scene, and it was more like I was angry. Like, why don't you accept me?
Yeah.
What do I got to do to get your attention? You know, you want me to rip and run?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just need your approval. You know,
That's
all.
it.
That's all we need from our dads is just approval, and we fight for that.
And so it got to the point to where it was just normal, right? You show me who you hang out with, I'll show you who you are, you know. And when we're in that lifestyle, we don't know the disease of addiction. I don't know, I should say. And growing up at 15, once that box open, like, and being sheltered. So I live in this thing where it's like, one part of you knows what's good. You know, my stepmom tried her butt off to really show us God influence in our lives. She was, you know, she drove the minivan for church. Like, we went to church. Like, there was that really good part of our life, but there was always that other side of my dad that didn't allow us to really see it. It overshined. Yeah. You know, and so it was just the normal growing up. Everyone was doing it. My friends, my dad, my aunts, my uncles, parents, right? And I just dove in head first, man. And because I knew right from wrong, like anytime I would get into a certain substance, and my life would get crazy, I always had this voice that was like, that's my problem. Yep. You know what I'm saying? If I could just get away from that, I'll be okay. You know, we didn't know any better, man. You know, we just didn't.
We weren't educated enough to know it's a behavior.
I didn't have men in my life going, this is the honorable thing to do. This is what integrity looks like. It wasn't until my 20s, so I told you my mom died when I was 11. I looked for validation from my dad. Time goes on, and my wife, I had kids young, really young. Yeah, 17. Like 17, yeah. When I turned 18, my daughter was born the next day. Yep. And we were kids raising kids, man. Without no guidance, no direction, no nothing. And now so I'm not sure if it was a blessing or a curse, but my kids have a lot of grandparents, and because of that, someone always wanted my kids on the weekend, right? And I was that weekend warrior. Everything's normal, right? And that's how it starts off, is that weekend, until it funnels into the week. And I got introduced to pills, and they made me feel invincible. They made me a better lover. They made me a better person at work. They made me so I thought, right? Every drug I've ever taken has always given me the feeling of something I'm not. You know, it had it told me this lie that I was better with it, you know, and then it takes a long time and chaos to start to realize, like, dude, it's lying, you know, and it's that fantasy, you know, fake reality, a false reality of what's real. Right. And so at 24 years old, we're doing the scene of the pills, like you said, and I remember going out of town. We do trees for a living, and we used to chase hurricanes all over the country. And I would pull into Panama City, up in the Panhandle, and I got a call. We were walking out of the hotel, and the guy's like, "Hey, are you James?" And he was talking to my dad. And he's like, "Yeah." So I remember my dad taking a phone call, and he dropped the phone and he just ran past me. And I didn't know what was going on. Like, by the time I caught up with him out in the thing, he told me that Angie died. and she had overdosed from using. And so we drove home, and my life really, like you would think if the person you love died from drugs, you would want nothing to do with it. Because drugs lied to me. It was my crutch. I can remember thinking back then, I was like, man, I was so mad at God. You took my mom, and now you took her. You know, and my life was spiraling out, and sorry, this is a tough one, man.
Sorry.
I didn't know how to be a father. I couldn't even look at my daughter because she looked so much like her mother. And I didn't know how to handle any of it. And as I was telling my kids that we just got to move on and keep going, the whole world don't stop. I'm covering every ounce of hurt with dope. And I was doing a lot of dope at the time, and I got so bad, and this is right before I became a IV user. I remember after she died, we all moved into a house together, and I was dating someone, and it was toxic, man. No fault of her. It was our families didn't like each other, us being in the relationship. It was just super toxic. And
It's just two unhealthy people trying to make a relationship.
Right.
It just doesn't work.
Codependency, like a mug.
Yeah, and that's another freaking addiction all in itself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
trying to fill that void with somebody.
Yes, and it got really bad at the house, and we wound up getting kicked out, and I'm homeless in my car, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I ain't got nothing else to lose. I might as well just try IV, right? Like,
yep.
My solution, my sick, insane thinking says my solution is to put something in my arm.
Yeah, it's a good, sound like a great idea. This is. Yeah.
It sounds so comforting. It sounds like peace. It sounds like joy. It sounds like solving my problem.
It's fucked up too.
Dude,
yeah.
Like this is what I hope that people, if you don't understand what addiction looks like, I hope you understand that. Like I didn't want to do it for any other reason but for comfort, to block something, that I didn't know, and I wind up using an IV, and I truly believe I sold my soul that day.
It's a whole nother beast.
It's yeah, a whole nother beast.
It is.
I built a relationship with the needle, like they call it popping your cherry, right? And I wanted that more than anything, and I couldn't stop it. There was no stopping it.
It consumes you day and night.
Day in, day out. But I had a brain that would tell me that, dude, if I could just get away from pills and this needle, that like everything was gonna be okay. I just need a break.
Yeah.
It's getting unmanageable.
Yeah,
like
need a vacation.
And I tried detoxes and centers, and none of it worked. It was a great way to fatten you up and get you ready for another run, because I didn't know, and we had talked a little bit behind the scenes here about I thought pills stole my 20s, right? Like I was like, how dare you steal my 20s? I was supposed to be out hanging out with everybody. Meanwhile, I got 2 kids and I ain't really paying attention.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in their life, but like
no responsibility.
Watching the fathers I see in their kids' life today, I honor y'all. Thank you for being role models. Like it's a huge deal. And so we decided, like, because I'm with somebody else at this point, that like we deserve to be in our 20s, right? We missed our 21s because we were too busy.
We need catch-up time.
Right, catch-up time. And it just started by going out once a night. And then, Tiffany talked about it in her episode that, like, because we've been hanging out a long time, man. Like, this is a circle. And we talked about, like, every night we had a bar we were going to.
Every night.
We didn't touch anything else. So we thought we were clean.
Yeah.
And
That word.
And now that I've got some recovery in me, I was not clean.
No.
You know, I just wasn't clean. It might work for some, just not for me.
We cleaned up.
Right.
We cleaned up. That's it.
And so I remember one night using, and I was like, man, like I want more. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Famous word of an addict. I want more. Rewind a little bit. When my mom died and I got really close to my dad, he was my best friend. He was a business partner of mine, but we also partied together. He introduced me to a certain drug that kept you up.
Another toxic relationship.
And so I went back to using that substance that he introduced me to, and it didn't last long because someone said, dude, I can get you this that's way cheaper and will keep you up even longer. I like a good deal. I like a good deal.
The more factor,
right?
Yeah.
I started putting that stuff in my body, and
another beast.
Dude, year and a half, not even. Maybe, I'm trying to think, man, maybe a year. I was homeless again, right? I ain't have no money for anything but more dope. Mm-hmm. Cars were broke down. Before I went homeless, I was running a hose from my neighbor's house to mine so we could wash up at night. Because I ain't got money to turn the water bill on. Don't you know they owe me? Why is my bill so high?
Yeah. It's everybody else's fault.
Right.
Like, why are they doing this to me?
Right.
Why me?
And it got really bad, and like, I can remember my family saying stuff to us, man, and like, oh, you guys are bad, and like, it's getting out of hand, you guys are crazy. And we always point the finger back at them, like, you're just haters. I'm living my best life. I'm living good. Like, what?
Can't see it.
Meanwhile, I got a hose hooked up to my neighbor's house to wash my ass. You know what I'm saying? And
it played in our head like it's, well, I'm not that bad.
Yeah, I'm not that bad.
If I was like this, at least I have a house.
Mm-hmm. And so right before Christmas, man, my landlord had enough. And she was well right to kick me out. Yeah. Always late, right? Like, robbing Peter to pay Paul, bro. Yeah. That's the story of addiction. You're trying to get to the next one in order to maintain a certain high. And she kicked me out, and we were homeless one more time. And I really, really wanted to change. Like, I did. I couldn't stop using when we went back to my mom's, dad's. So, we'll backtrack. I had 2 kids with Angie, right? I got with somebody after they had 2 kids, and we had 1 on the way at this point. Okay, so now we're talking about 5 kids, and I'm sitting in a garage, homeless.
At your mama's house.
At my mama's house, thinking life couldn't be any better because I made walls in the garage out of old dressers. That was my privacy. That was our room, you know. But I wanted to stop. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm done, right? My mom really, really laid in. She threatened to take my kids away from me. Like, that's the PG-13 version of how that conversation went.
Yeah, we get it. You know, it's usually not a good conversation when stuff like that happens.
Right, and so I changed. Like, I didn't go to work, man. I didn't turn my phone on. Like, I remember picking cigarette butts out of like ashtrays because I didn't go to work. I was so scared of money. Money has always come.
You're scared of yourself. You're scared to death. So
we just stayed in that.
So this is, and that's like kind of the turning point. That was like, you wanted to change, but you just didn't know how until it became forced into almost.
Yeah. So this is kind of the transition into being forced. So we had talked a little earlier about the first time being introduced to it. The first time I could really remember being introduced to recovery is that we went to a meeting, and I remember leaving going, those people are crazy. They're all in their feelings. Like, I just like getting high. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm really, really good at it. Like, it's what I enjoy doing, you know? So I tried to do it on my own, right? Like, we stayed in the garage 30 days. Things got crazy. I never really get along with my parents. You're not supposed to be at home at 31 years old. You're supposed to be a grown man. Do your thing, you know?
Yeah.
Especially not because of addiction. You know, you get on hard times, it's one thing, but because you're using totally different ball game. So I remember 30 days and I was like, man, we got to do something. It's kind of getting heated at the house, you know. And I wind up going back to work, making some money, and income tax came in at the same time. And so we get a house, we get all new furniture, right? And I'm like, look at me.
Yeah. Oh,
Look
yeah.
what I did.
Yep.
What?
You get all these things.
All these things, I'm like, oh, we're good.
Yeah, you're good.
We deserve to have a drink. But we know we have a problem, so what we're going to do is we're going to keep it classy, and we're just going to have a glass of wine with dinner.
Because liquor's my problem.
Everything else is my problem, but we can keep it classy because our pinkies go up with wine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we'd cook with dinner, and it would go from there. And it wasn't long before we're sitting with handles. You know, kicking them back. Police are coming in and out. Violence again. All the craziness that. And I remember one night I was like, "That's it. You're gonna take me to Shady Hills. We're gonna go get what keeps me up, right? Like what I really enjoy." And I remember my wife. I didn't have a license at the time because addiction takes that. You know,
takes
like,
everything.
you're gonna drive me. You don't have a choice. And she's bawling. James, please don't make me do this. And she's like, you know where this is going to take us. We're going to be homeless again. Everything's going to be gone if we start this. And I didn't really leave her a whole lot of options. You know, I can be very persuasive.
Oh, yeah.
I
want what I want. I want it now.
Now.
It's a self-seeking nature.
Yes.
You know, manipulative, whatever we want.
We were off to the races. And it wasn't very long, a couple months. I'm on probation at the time. I fail for a test, and that's when recovery in my life changed. I told you I didn't know what the disease of addiction was. I always thought it was this substance, if I could just get away from that. There was one time on this last run that when we got to the new house where we went out and we were at the beach and we came home, and I wanted something. I wanted more. I wanted to keep going. And I'm looking for receipts to pawn. I've never done that before, like those yets you come across.
Yeah.
Right, I'm looking for receipts, this. And then I lay down in bed. I'm like, James, just go to bed. Just go to bed. That's what I'm telling myself. Go to bed. And I lay down for a minute. I pop back up. Boom. Over and over.
Yeah.
You know, and it
Sounds
hit
like
me
it
right
consumes
then. It hit me that, dude, it's not a substance problem. Like, I'm an addict. Like, I'm willing to do all this, and it wouldn't stop. So I wound up getting some continuing on. Failed the test down the road, and even after, you know, as a good addict, like we tell our probation officers, send it in. That wasn't me.
Yeah.
You know, get it tested. That's not
Again,
right.
the responsibility.
Yeah. Right.
Just owning up to it.
And so they wind up coming to get me, and you know that was the last time I went to jail. And I remember sitting in the back of that cop car, right? And you would think that going to jail, you would be miserable. You would hate it. You're about to lose your family, everything, right? It was so freeing.
It's over.
There was this, it's over.
Yeah.
Finally get my break. I'm going to prison.
The rescue from yourself.
Right. I'm going to prison. I'm done. It's going to be what it is, man. And this is really where grace and favor show up in my life. I don't know how I qualified for West Care.
And West Care is like a drug court.
A drug court. Well, I qualified for drug court, which you have to do a outpatient through West Care.
Yeah.
And if anybody doesn't understand what drug court is or how it changes lives, it was the first time I sat in front of a judge that he asked me, he said, how are you doing today and how can we help? If you are a judge, if you are working with the state and you see this, it changed my life. It was no longer sitting in front of a judge going, how much time are they going to give me?
Yeah.
You know, there was so much hope in that simple question of how is it going and how can we help?
It's like they care. They actually freaking care and they want to help.
And it was the game changer, man. And, so I get out and I found me a program, you know, and I really went all in. But so stemming back to validation from my dad I've always wanted that a boy, the slap on the ass, right? That a boy, gold star.
Yeah,
right?
we want that participation trophy.
Right. Always wanted that from my mom dying and wanting to be close to my dad, and it carried on into recovery with me, man. And I thought I was climbing this ladder of success in the recovery world.
Yeah.
Taking on certain roles and doing some things, and like I can remember my first couple of years, I would always bring my key tag back to the judge because I just want him to be proud of me, right? And so I dove headfirst, and
yeah, you were doing like what, 3 meetings a day sometimes?
as many as I could. I remember, so we have this thing called Area. It's where the community gets together in recovery and they talk about how we can help, home groups. And I would go to that, me and my wife would go to that, and it's about a 4-hour process, and we would go and just sit there. We weren't allowed to have a position yet, but I knew it was 4 hours that I would stay clean.
Because it was just surround yourself with people that
they
had what you wanted.
Yes. Well, when we get to the program we're in, we're talking about stick with the winners. And I figured, okay, well, these people got to be doing the deal. You know, if they're willing to give back and all this that they're doing, I got to be there. And like I said, it just gave me an opportunity to be clean for 4 hours. And when I first got into recovery, like I would show up to a meeting early, an hour before. We'd close it down, right? So we're talking a couple hours of your day where it was just like, and we're doing this 2-3 times a day some days.
It's like a safe zone, man.
Yes.
It's a safe haven.
Yes.
You're afraid of yourself, man. Might as well just go into there where it's safe and you feel like you're accepted and, you know, yeah, it's a cool thing.
It was freedom. It was really, really freedom. And, but I was doing it for that a boy, right? And I remember
all the wrong reasons.
You talking about in your video about doing it for yourself, right? And kudos to you for getting that. You know, for me, it was, I wanted to fix everything, man. I wanted my relationship with my kids right. I wanted my parents to be proud of me. Like, I wanted.
So you thought this was a title, you know? Yes. It was a title, like, look at me, look at what I'm doing all these things, like, where's my data boy? Yes. Again, yeah.
And so we work on a lot of behaviors here, and we get to this point to where, like, we have to look at our roles and things, right? And I know that I was trying to climb this ladder and not doing it for myself today. And one of the questions we ask here is, do I have any reservations? Reservations, is there any things that I'm thinking about that might cause me to use? And I remember it being my dad's death. You know, that was my best friend, you know, and it's weird because when he died, I didn't want to use. I knew my only option was to get to a meeting. That's it. That was my safe haven, right? All those habits we pick up when we first get here.
It's that tools. It's the tools that give you. You know what to do.
And
when you're going through your shit.
Right. Yeah. So I went to meetings during that. So I made it through that one, right? And what I didn't pay attention to was what other people thought of me. You know, if you would have asked me when I first got to recovery if I would use because of people's words, I would have been like, dude, you're an idiot and you don't know who I am. No, I'm the idiot who don't know who he is.
Pretty much.
You know?
It's that ego.
And I wind up getting into an argument on a social site. And we, it hurt real bad. And like, cause I thought I was coming to slaughter. I did all this stuff in recovery, and like, I remember someone saying on there, like, don't get involved with that. We know who he is. Or what, you know, how did she say it, man? We've heard about him. He's a bully or something. Like,
something.
Yeah, something to that extent.
Something you're like, what?
Yeah.
You don't know me?
Right. Well, perfect. That's what I did.
You don't know
what?
me?
You don't know what I've done for this area?
Yeah.
Danger zone.
It's the behavior still.
Yes.
You know?
And I remember leaving a meeting, and like, so we get this voice back in recovery, this conscious state. Like, I remember leaving a meeting really upset, and a person came to my house. They're in recovery as well, and I went to bed wanting to get high. I woke up wanting to get high, and then my voice says, "Man, you should wake him up. We're taught to tell people, tell about our thinking."
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I was like, you know what? I'll be fine. I'm all right. I just get to my first estimate. I'll be fine. And I didn't. I remember driving by my buddy John's house, thinking, man, you should stop, because I still want to get high at this point.
Yeah. Before that thought becomes an action,
Right.
But you could have stopped and like get that out there and let people know where you are, and that's the tools they give you. But
yes. But right, that but part.
That but part is what kills you.
I did it. I looked back up on Facebook, and they said something else, and I was like, "That's it. I'm going to have a beer at my dad's. It's grave." And the whole time, I get this voice that says, "James, you don't have to do this." And I have this other, like, good and evil voice, man. Like, yes, you do.
Yeah.
You need to let them know their words hurt.
Show them.
I'll show them.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the cooler to get it. "James, you don't have to do this." Go to the register, buy it. "James, you don't have to." "Yes, I do." Went to my dad's grave, and I heard it one more time. "James, you don't have to do this." And I remember saying in my head, they need to know their words hurt. And I popped it off and drank, and I was off to the races that night.
And now you can say, "This is your fault. Look what you made me do."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Playing the victim, no responsibility.
That victim's a motherfucker.
I'm really good at it. I'm really good at playing a victim, in addiction. It's a really bad behavior trait that we continue on. And so I remember, literally, I'm drunk by 11 o'clock. Getting kicked out of a bar already. It's 11 o'clock. We leave off right where we left.
Right, exactly.
Because that's who I was at the bar. I'm getting kicked out every night, looking for trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Same behaviors coming up.
Same thing.
Nothing's changed.
Kicked out.
Yeah.
And some of my buddies in recovery knew, and they came and got me from my next one. My next bar I was at. And
that's where those, like, when you get in recovery, like those real friendships you acquire.
yes, I absolutely love those two men to death.
Me too.
They just not just for coming to get me that day, but so that story goes on a little bit, right? Like they take me back to the house, they let me sober up, I guess you would call it, and wind up going home, man. And I remember telling my wife, like, if I don't go out now, it will never stop. Like, the lies, the cheating, the violence, it's all going to come back.
And that's that reservation almost.
Right.
That
like, if I have to hide this, because inside there's this beast going on as I'm sitting at home, like, I'm not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
I want some more chaos and craziness and insaneness in my life to cover up how I'm feeling.
Yep.
Like, and I wasn't willing to throw away 3 years for a couple of years.
It needs to be a hoorah.
Insane thinking, right? I am not normal. I have an insane way of thinking.
Yep.
And so I tell my wife this, and man, recovery is so good. I had 15, 20 people at my house, man, watching me, and like a good old addict, dude. I left them all on my back porch and took off. And so, I didn't want to do certain drugs. So I'm going down the list of what I should do because I don't want to be hooked. More insane thinking.
That insane thing is crazy.
And
it's crazy.
I find myself at a hotel room, 3 o'clock in the morning. This is how I know I'm a really good addict. I'm trying to call the guy for more, the dope man for more, right? Oh, bro, we're out. Oh, first of all, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm just getting started. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And, like, I remember I'm not having anything, and I'm trying to find my last hit, right? Knowing there ain't nothing there. And if you're an addict, you'll know this scene. You're in the hotel room, and you got that little table, 2 chairs right there, right next to your bed. And my ring, man. I got married because of recovery. Showed me I could be committed to something. And it literally saved my life that night. And I'm wiping the table looking for one more crumb. And I'm going, James, you know there ain't nothing there, man. And like I wiped my hand one more time, and for some reason I really noticed my ring. And I said to myself, man, you don't belong here no more. You don't belong on this side of the fence, James. If you knew better, you do better, right? Like, I don't belong on this side of the fence no more. And I called my wife and I told her I was coming home. I'm so grateful for who she is, because she didn't fucking shame me. She didn't shame me. She didn't like, you asshole, you are gone. Like, she did nothing. I walked into a hug. She said, I'm glad you're safe. Come lay down. And
that's how recovery changed her as well.
Right.
Because back in the day, she would have been ripping and running right.
She would have went with me. Mm-hmm. She didn't chase me down. And so I told you, I was so thankful for those men. And one of my friends was celebrating. And she got to go to a meeting and cry and worry about me as I was in a hotel, and she didn't use. She was so strong. And they really just, they loved my wife, man. They protected her, told her it was going to be okay. And that's what we do here in recovery. You know, they went to the lion's den for me to get me out. I still took off on them, and then they're like, you know what? Let him play his course and we'll protect his wife. And, but, I gotta watch how I say, because I don't want to add certain things, but there's certain parts of our literature. This is a relapse, can bring on a whole new profound part of recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what it did for me, man. Like, I got here and I was this loudmouth, and I was this climbing this ladder. I wanted jets and just a whole nother
fireworks.
Episode.
And
right.
You wanted
like,
the
I was moving on up.
Yeah.
On the east side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I'm climbing corporate ladder.
Right. And there is no.
There is none. It's not a race.
It's not. Recovery is a process and a journey.
It's not a destination.
And it is the most beautiful journey I've ever been on in my entire life, dude. Like, the way it changes you as a human being. Like, it wasn't just about the dope, man. Like, I changed who I am as a person. And so coming back from that relapse, I was lost. I was resentful. It was everybody else's fault, right?
Yeah. Pointing the finger at everybody else instead of doing this.
Yeah, and it took me a long time. It took me a long time to understand it was my part. And so I did what they told me to do.
And what is that?
I dug into the steps. It gave me something to do for the next year. And so, like, I realized, all right, so I love my wife. There's times where I'm like, why did she stay clean and not me? I was Mr. Recovery, right? Like, it's a real humbling and humiliating thing. She's supposed to be this leader of a house and the man of a house. And meanwhile, it's your wife that's really the go-to, the crutch, the backbone. I just watched her. My wife has an amazing gift. Spiritual gangster, bro.
Yeah.
My wife she don't care about the rest of the world or how they look at her. Or like, she's comfortable with herself. You know, even in her uncomfortable times, she's still comfortable. If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
And I just watched her, man. I was done being the loudmouth. I was done arguing to prove my point to people. I found out that one of my defects of character was dogmatic. You know, and I was just done arguing. I watched her and I was like, all right, I'm going to just stay at home more, do my recovery thing, work the steps, right? I get through those resentments that I had, and there's this step, like 4 and 5 is about telling a moral inventory and then like letting it out with your sponsor, man. And this light bulb went off for me about the power of choice. When I got here, I thought it was about the dope and only dope. What it has taught me along the way is like, I have a power of everything in my life today. Recovery gives me power of choice. Now, what I choose to do with that is on me.
You know, it's funny though. It's like first you have to admit that you're powerless in order to get the power back.
Yes.
Over your life. Yes. It's so crazy how that is.
It really is.
It really is.
Like, because as men, I am told that if I am powerless, I am weak. I will be taken advantage of. I'm not a provider. I'm not a good man, right? Like, and then recovery comes in this beautiful journey that we're talking about. Really tells me when I'm powerless and understand my role in things, I am more powerful than ever because I have the ability to choose now. The ability of choice is an amazing gift. Free will is an amazing gift that we get back. And now that we know better, we could do better. And so I did that fifth step, man, and I realized that like all that anger and stuff that I had for people, like, that was a choice. And this light bulb goes off, and,
That's a God moment, huh?
Dude, yes, and I've had a few of those. My God moments lead me into how I've changed as a human being. I've had some moments in my life where I thought I was cancer to women, this and that. With my mom dying, my sister dying, my wife dying, like I just thought I was no good. And because God has given me the ability to work on myself through 12 steps, I have changed as a human being. I love my wife today. I'm a better father today. I've learned how to interact with other people today. I learned to look at my role in life today. I play a part in every single thing I do.
That's the biggest thing, is knowing our part in any kind of disagreement, because it's not like we don't have disagreements. It's not like we're just floating around all the time through life. Like, it does happen. We still have behaviors that come up sometimes, and we just know how to be better at changing that,
The greatest thing about recovery is what it does for you as a person. So we have a line in our literature that says, anyone can lose the desire to use and find a new way to live. If I stay in recovery long enough, I lose the desire to use. For me, working a program of recovery, I have found a new way to live. I'm a better husband. I'm a way better father. I've built my relationship back with my kids, right? I'm a successful business owner. I am a loving man. The mask is gone because of recovery. I told you in the beginning that I wanted to be this tough guy, this empire, illegal enterprise. Today, I just want to hug you and make sure you're winning. If you're winning, I'm good. If I can make your life better, I'm winning. Now that doesn't happen with a self-centered nature.
No, and that's the difference between addiction and recovery. It flips the script. I always used to say that what recovery has done for me is it's flipped the script. Instead of pointing the finger, I'm pointing back. Instead of being self-seeking, I'm trying to help.
You nailed it, bro. That's it. What can I do for others? And along this magical journey, somehow, not being self-centered and working on yourself, the mask will come down and you'll find who you are. And you know what? When I first got into the program, my grand sponsor would tell me, "You're just a soft teddy bear." Do you know me?
You
puff up, right?
Yeah.
I can literally look in the camera and tell you I am a soft teddy bear, and I just want to hug.
Just hug. You want to hug it out?
I don't want to fight now. I want to hug. Just want to hug. Let's be nice, kind.
This is an amazing story, dude, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on. And that just shows, like, the choice we have, the decisions we make, the one right decision and one wrong decision of how you can be in recovery and how you can be in addiction, of our choices, and how it can change your life. If this has helped you in any way, Comment down below. Let us know what you think. Also subscribe and share this channel with anybody you think is going through addiction. And we'd like to thank you for watching. And this has been your Hope Shot.